the weekly International Farbrengen hosted by the Rabbi Art Gallery. You're sponsored by Kedem. Your your one-stop shop for your Judaic art needs. This week is a very special week. We are coming from great Yom Pagra special days and getting ready for special days. First of all, tonight is Chav Al Tevis, the yahrzeit of the Alter Rebbe. It's also we're coming a few days ago. Chav Tevis was the yahrzeit of the Rambam. This Shabbos, the Shabbos. Sada Tevis is okay, yeah. Noson's yahrzeit, good. And we're coming the Shabbos Mevorchim, we're blessing the month of Shvat, which is the month of Yud Shvat, is the day the Frierdiker Rebbe passed away, the day the Rebbe became Rebbe, Yud Aleph Shvat. So it's a jam-packed week. It's a special week to focus on many different things. Yeah. So what is the message of Parsha Shmois? What is the message of the Alter Rebbe, the Rambam, the Frierdiker Rebbe? So we can really put it all in one nutshell. You have the Alter Rebbe's Chav Al Tevis, right? What was the story of the Alter Rebbe's passing? The Alter Rebbe was running away from Napoleon. He didn't want to stay under Napoleon's rule. He says Napoleon is the essence of Klippa. Didn't want to have anything to do with him, and he ran away. Right before when he heard that the French were about to come, and and he went from B'derech HaTeva. According to nature, this was the cause. Alter Rebbe's passing. It was a harsh winter. Alter Rebbe was traveling. The whole story. I don't want to get into the story. Alter Rebbe became sick from the cold, and whatever it is, and he passed away. He was really supposed to live according to the tradition. How old was he? He was 68 years old. Supposed to live. Was over those. He had a bracha from the whole story. Really was meant to live another number of years. But that was the Ganset Meis, Baal Shem Tov, I think. Whatever. I don't want to go into the whole thing. He was meant to go in one place, then they went to another place. I don't want to get into the story. Is printed, it's discussed. For a different time. The point is, Alter Rebbe passed away in a village called Piana. Piana is a Ukrainian village that wasn't no Jews lived there as far as I understand. It was a Goyish village. Kfar Piana, the Alter Rebbe came. The Alter Rebbe passed away in the house of a Goy, basically. It wasn't a Jewish house. That's why they buried Alter Rebbe in Hadich. Hadich was quite a distance from Piana, but it was the closest Jewish cemetery, I think, to where the Alter Rebbe was, because Alter Rebbe was
ancient Jewish cemetery, right?
Could be. The Alter Rebbe was technically like middle of nowhere, so it's not the word that I'm saying now, not the word of a Rebbe, it's a word from a certain individual, a Hasidic thinker, but he brings out a very valid point. He says, the Alter Rebbe, the Alter Rebbe explains in Tanya and in the Siddur, how when the tzaddik passes away, his whole avodah reaches a culmination. That's when his avodah is complete, reaches a culmination. That's why it draws down such blessings the day of the tzaddik's passing, because the great revelation above, which is Pearl Yeshua's Karavadas, it draws down abundant salvations and abundant miracles and help down here in this physical world. So when the Alter Rebbe passes away, this was a culmination of Alter Rebbe's avodah. So wouldn't it make sense that Alter Rebbe should pass away in the house of a Yid and in the holy place? Instead, Alter Rebbe passes away in the house of a Goy. Seems completely counterintuitive. So the point is that the whole ufta of the Alter Rebbe was, we also speak about Parsha Shmois. Shmois is talking about the harshest period in Jewish history. The Jewish people were suffering in Galus Mitzrayim. The whole ufta of the Alter Rebbe, the accomplishment of the Alter Rebbe is to bring godliness down, as the famous word Rabbi Yitzchak of Bardishev said when they made the Tanya, right? So the Alter Rebbe wrote the Tanya, so you got the Haskama, you got whatever you call it, agreements, whatever the exact word for it in English is, from probations of faith, from Rabbi Yehuda Leibakar, Rabbi Zushav Anipoli, but when the Rabbi Yitzchak Bardishev saw the Tanya, he said that Rebbe took such a great Eibishter and he brought in such a small book. It's a very, very deep point. The meaning over here is that the Alter Rebbe took the highest concepts, the Alter Rebbe was able to bring it down to the lowest places. It wasn't just the idea of taking infinite and putting black and white. The idea is The idea that even in Galus, even when a Jew is stuck in Mitzrayim, that was the ufta of the Alter Rebbe. The Alter Rebbe wanted people that no matter where you are, you should be able to connect to the Eibusher. That was what Alter Rebbe wanted to accomplish with Chassidus Chabad, to make godliness be able to be understood and internalized wherever you are. That's why you focus on understanding
even
it.
The lowest place.
Even the lowest places. And it's also, it's that issue is that even if a Jew is in wherever he is, he's in the lowest, he's Vatzia Shoel Hinak is in the lowest places. Even there, he's connected with the Eibusher. This is also, in general, what Jewish leaders do. Like Moshe Rabbeinu, we speak about the first Jewish leader also. We had Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. But Moshe Rabbeinu, you might call the first Jewish leader in the sense of a leader that is there for the people to help them in their time of need. So Moshe Rabbeinu, what is the role of a Jewish leader? It's also, Sai helps them physically, like we see with the story with the Mitzri. Some spiritually things on the Torah, but the role of a Jewish leader is that he tries, that when they're in the hardest times, he tries to connect them with the Eibusher. So this is the Alter Rebbe's avoided, what Alter Rebbe passes away in the house of a goy, because that's Alter Rebbe's ufta. The chiddush of Alter Rebbe is not only when you're in a place. There's a story with the Mittel Rebbe. The Mittel Rebbe was Alter Rebbe's son. Mittel Rebbe in Rabbi, the son of the Baal Tanya. So he was a very high level. Alter Rebbe said he was, many great things to say about him as well, but that's for another time. But the story goes, there was a certain chassid of the Alter Rebbe that once told the Alter Rebbe's son, whatever he was called then, he says, he said, I don't understand, what's the big accomplishment that you are on such a high level? He says, your father was the Alter Rebbe. And when he had to draw down your neshama, you could understand what type of intentions he had and how he had access to the highest neshamas in the spiritual worlds. And then after you were born, you were educated and raised in the house of the Alter Rebbe, and of course you are. He says, my father was, nothing to write home about. No, I'm saying the chassid now tells the Mittel Rebbe, he says, what about me? So let's compare ourselves. My father was a regular guy. You can imagine that when my neshama was born, my father wasn't necessarily having the highest intentions, and he scraped out the neshama from the bottom of the barrel, as they say. And he says, and what is my parnasa? My parnasa is, how do I make money? I lend money to peasants during the winter for them to sow their, to sow the grain. Mm-hmm. And then in the summer, after they made the harvest, I have to go and collect the debts. And it's a whole avoid, it's a whole process. I have to go early in the morning before I'm able to daven when it's still, just starting to get light. And I go into a peasant's house and I have to say, I'll drink with him a l'chaim and wish him cheerful life. Then I have to wish his wife, also all the best. And then he has to sit and talk with peasants about peasant talk for whatever it is. And then finally could discuss the money. And maybe sometimes he does have the money, they have to push him off. It's a whole negotiating deal. And
it's not pleasant.
It's not pleasant. It's peasant, but not pleasant. That's right.
It's peasant pleasant.
So he says, and then you could imagine dealing with the peasants and their way of life. Right before davening, you can imagine when I start davening, what exactly is going on in my head. So he says, now the truth is, if Yidik Rebbe writes, this chassid wasn't just a nobody, he was taka chassid to serve the Eibusher. You can imagine, after to start davening, I have to start working on myself. He says, how could you compare? He says, but obviously, you're born into it, you were born on the mountain, as they say. I have to, so the Alter Rebbe later gave this chassid the Yashir Koyach for making Mittel Rebbe a chassid. He says, why? He says, this point that he meant, the Mittel Rebbe never looked at it from that perspective.
When he was a kid, then Mittel Rebbe?
Whatever it was, when he was a kid, this very great man. But in other words, he never, this person gave him a whole different perspective. How, in other words, when you look at it from the level where godliness is b'pshitas, looking at it, you coming from Mount Sinai, of course, the whole world is just godliness.
You come from low, right?
You have to look how this other guy, like for him, he doesn't relate to any of this.
Nothing, right?
He's stuck, and you have to go down to his level. And being a chassid means, the whole word being a chassid means not that you start from the, being a chassid means you have to start from the bottom up. And that's what Chassidus came to accomplish. So this recognition was achieved by the Mittel Rebbe through the words of this Chassid. This is what Chassidus comes, avoida b'koach atzma. Where you are, you should work on yourself and be able to be elevated through your own efforts. This is what distinguishes also Chassidus Chabad from other Chassidus. The Rebbe wanted that a person should work on himself. So it might be easier to just go to a Rebbe and the Rebbe turns you on. But the Alter Rebbe wanted that even somebody that is, the Alter Rebbe felt that's not everlasting. It's not a long-term solution. You have to give the ability to have avodah v'koach atzmai, to be able to to where you are, slowly but surely work your way up. So that's why the Alter Rebbe, that's the connection with Parsha Shmos. Shmos is a time of galus, physical exile, spiritual exile, but it's after there that Moshe Rabbeinu gets revealed to the Jewish people. It's after the galus that brings the gula. Being the chiddush of Chassidus is, it gives the Jew the ability to reveal, to see the godliness even in the place of darkness. This is also, the Rebbe says, the Rebbe connects it also with the Rambam. What did the Rambam do? The Rambam, why did the Rambam write his Mishnah Torah? He says, because now, years ago, people would sit and learn Gemara, thus, they're able to learn on the side. Now people don't have the time, the tzaddis, all the things that are going on, people don't have the headspace to sit and learn properly. So he has to write the halachas. Not the Rambam's not writing any pulling. He doesn't even give the reason. He wrote for the common folk what they should do. I don't know. I wouldn't say the word common folk, but I'm saying he wrote. He extracted. He's gearing. He distilled the Torah, so it should be he took out, extracted the essence of Torah, the halacha l'maisa. Why? Because he felt this is what is needed. So the Rebbe says this is what also that he was dealing with the people of his time, trying to connect them to Torah. So this is, the Rebbe says a very powerful thing. The Rebbe says Parsha Shmos means a name, right? The name of a person seems to be very external, but the name of a person is very deeply entrenched within him, and that's why when someone faints, Rahman al-San in schools, they call him by his name. Why do they call him by his name? Because his name wakes up his essence of the soul. So it says, the Rebbe says a powerful thing. He says the essence of his soul is specifically revealed only when he faints. When the guy is up, so his understanding and his intelligence and his emotions shadow over his pure essence. But when he faints, and there's no one to talk to, there's no one home, there's no emotions, there's no intellect. You call his name, you're calling his essence, the revelation of the essence. The Chassidus says after the time of Galus, when our spiritual senses are numb, you understand? So we're like in a spiritual faint, that's when the essence of the neshama gets revealed. So it's dafka the avoid in Galus, that's what the Alter Rebbe and the Rambam, they're awakening the essence of the neshama. The Rambam did it in his way, the Alter Rebbe through Chassidus did it in their way. Like the Baal Shem Tov came he took the stone gem, the crown jewel of the king's crown, in order, because the king's son, the Jewish people, were deathly ill, and you had to take the highest, deepest secrets and then grind them and bring them down to be able to save the Jewish people's spiritual life. So the point is, this is the idea of shame, of a name. You might be, all that it is a name, that you don't see any understanding or emotion, but that touches the essence. And this is what Parsha Shmos is, right? It's also Tevis is the coldest time of the year, which means spiritually that, there's no spiritual warmth. You have to do everything on your own. And the Alter Rebbe passes away in that month, because that's what the Alter Rebbe came to acknowledge. The Alter Rebbe came to give the ability to warm yourself up, even in the coldest spiritual point. There's also the connection with Yud Shvat. The Rebbe says Yud means the point, right? Letter Yud is the smallest letter. Yud is the point, is the essence. The avoid of a Nasi is to take the essence, is take the point and reveal it, and to have it permeate all our actions. Right? We see particularly by the Frierdiker Rebbe, what was his avoid? His avoid was to reveal the Mesiras Nefesh by Chassidim that he sent out to work in Russia, and in general to reveal the Pintel Yiddishkeit, and that it should be expressed in its fullest. The same thing, Rambam, Alter Rebbe, each Nasi in his time is more or less, the Nekuda is the same. The point is that even where you are, America, you're in America, Russia, America is no different, to reveal whatever galus you might be, whatever trying times you might be, to reveal your essential connection with the Eibishter, which is specifically revealed in the darkest and the coldest times, and to bring it to the forefront. And this is what brings Mashiach, right? The Rebbe says the number Yud also means 10. We know the Mashiach will come. Mashiach is connected with the number 10. You know that? Hasidi Yiyah Kodesh will be the 10th Paraduma, the 10th count, the 10th song. Many things, so number 10. Yeah. So why? Because 10 means complete, but 10 also means the essence, right? The 10 is the pin, the Yud is also like a pintala, because the Chiddush of Mashiach is that then you'll take the pintala, you'll take the essence, and it'll be completely expressed throughout the whole avodah, throughout the person, turning him into a complete avodah, right? To reveal, that's what Gula is, the redemption is. Golus is when the essence is concealed, and you bring Gula through revealing the essence. This is what the Rabbi wanted from us, this is what we should do. So this is the Nakuda. There's just one other point I'll finish off regarding the Alter Rebbe, which is a very important point. The Samach, this famous story that they once repeated in front of the Alter Rebbe's grandson, the Tzemach Tzedek. They said that the Alter Rebbe once got a snuff box. One of his chassidim bought him a silver snuff box as a present. The Alter Rebbe said that there's one limb of a person that's not about taiva, right? We want our eyes and our ears all have taivas, our mouth, but nose, not such a big taiva, you want to smell things. The Alter Rebbe said there's one limb of a person, corona took away our taste of sense of smell, spiritually, physically, I don't know, but anyway, so he said that there's one ava that's not about taiva, and you want to stuff that also with taiva. Like, well, what's do I need a snuff box for? So the way they told the story in front of the Tzemach Tzedek is that Alter Rebbe decided, what is he going to do with this? So he said, they told the Tzemach Tzedek he broke off the cover of the snuff box and used it as a mirror for his tefillin. The Tzemach Tzedek said he made one correction. He said, I don't think that detail that he broke off the cover is accurate. He says, my grandfather never broke anything. He said, probably there was a screw, it was a metal piece. He disconnected the cover from the box, but not that he broke. And the Rebbe says, a very powerful, it's a very small story, but a very powerful point. Chassidus is not there to break you. Chassidus is not there to break your body. Chassidus is there to disconnect, take out the geschmack from Gashmis, so that you should be able to connect to the Eibusher. Chassidus is not there to smash a person. And most importantly, we shouldn't be there, even when we're trying to help someone else. We might think we are, we have to. We shouldn't try to smash him. You understand? If you're smashing someone, means you have some type of interest. It makes you feel good. They're able to smash the other guy. That's not going to help for you or him or anything. If you want to really help someone, you have to disconnect. Try to, gently take out the connecting factor that's, but not to break the person. You can do the same thing. You know how to be a good diplomat, or a good therapist. You could reach the same goal without making the person feel miserable. So that's the Nakud of Chassidus. Chassidus is not there to break a person. Chassidus is not there to smash the world. On the contrary, Chassidus is there to reveal the true essence of the world, to take out the negative, disconnect it, and reveal the truth. Anyway, l'chaim, we should all merit to celebrate Chav Dal Tevis together with the Alter Rebbe and the Rambam and the Fidik Rebbe and the Rebbe, together with Moshe Rabbeinu with the final redemption, as we speak about in this week's Parsha. Shap and take it from Yad Mamish.